Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, June 24th. We are back with the Red Light Holland trip. Todd Shapiro, the CEO. Todd, welcome back.
Hey, Jack, thanks for having me. You might notice a different. Can you hear me? I got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. There might be a slight delay, but the background looks okay.
Yeah.
I think there's a slight. Okay? Yeah. There's a slight delay.
Okay. So, I can hear you perfectly. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah. No, I hear. No, everything is good. Everything is good. I think there's just a slight delay with the internet connection or something. But.
Yeah, I apologize. We're in an area right now where the internet is just absolutely terrible. It's normally pretty good, but right now for some reason it went out. So I had to go to my phone and I tried to go high up into the trees, into a tree house to get good internet.
Okay, so Todd, so welcome back to the program. So for anybody that's new to the live stream, our goal with the Wall Street Reporters next super stock live stream is to bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. So companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar opportunities at a key inflection point and with multiple catalysts in place. And this formula has helped us produce over 8 stocks in the last 18 months that are up between 10x and 50x. And we're going to find out today if TRUFF, Red Light Holland, is going to be that next 10-bagger plus. So Todd, a lot of exciting things going on. The reason why we have you on is to give some clarity to investors, maybe articulate your vision for this merger and beyond the merger, because I think there's you and the team around you guys have a vision in place for turning this into a really like a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. This is not just a couple of mushroom farms and a couple of there's a vision here. So explain to us how this how the Cresso deal fits in and beyond the Cresso deal.
Great. So to steal a line from Bruce Linton, who's expected to come on as the chairman of the board, if you're not first, you're last. And ultimately, when I say if you're not first, you're last, what I'm getting at is the idea that we're in recreational psychedelics that are supported by applied science, they're supported by technology and innovation, and we're some of the biggest movers, we think, in the world at working with regulatory bodies in terms of how we present our product. Not that necessarily we're working with them directly, but they're seeing our product carefully packaged with careful leaflets, with again, with an iMicrodose app that you can follow along. You have telecounseling support with VR and with augmented reality, really focused on education and responsible use, because it is an edgy ingredient and it is a sensitive topic when you get into psychedelics. By the way, cannabis and THC and CBD are still thought of as edgy ingredients, believe it or not, and sensitive topics. So when we all of a sudden started to have talks with Cresso Pharma, a company that's traded on the ASX and has a grow op in Halifax, has some of the best R&D gone into years of research into CBD products that bar none are just incredible, and I can't wait to have the opportunity to potentially work with them to white label our own it made so much sense to start to merge these industries, because why? It gives us complete vertical integration and a complete hybrid approach across all fields. And what do I mean by that, Jack? Well, this is what I mean. Psychedelics, cannabis, okay? Edgy ingredients, of course, where people use, whether it's for our own personal anecdotal wealth or whether it's just simply to kind of have a good time, whatever it is, these are products that are being consumed daily and they're not going anywhere. They've existed for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Like when the dinosaurs existed, these products existed, and they will continue to exist. So why not be the company that comes right out on the forefront to say, we're going to be the first, we're going to merge, we're going to, for instance, not only just have a truffle farm now in the Netherlands, and not only just have a mushroom home grow farm in Halifax, and by the way, we just made an announcement that we're doing a 49% sort of controlling stake in creating a new farm out in New Brunswick, Canada, with called AEM, And AEM is working with partners called the Holborn Farms and Carlton Farms. And these are mushroom growers, mushroom farmers, who are literally some of the best mushroom farmers, producing combined 13 million pounds of mushrooms a year in Canada. So now we're mushroom farmers as well on a big scale, and that will be, determined over the next few months here. And then if you think of what Cresso Pharma has, they have Mernova Medical, which is a cannabis farm, a grow-op that's a Canada Health licensed, of course. It has incredible craft designation with great products under Ritual and Black Mamba, and it has products in stores. So now we're farmers as well. Great margins in farming, but not only are we farmers in all different fields, we can go from farming, growing, to harvesting, to packaging, to distributing. Think of it as our wholesale, which we own, which is a wholly owned subsidiary that we bought a couple of months ago that delivers products across the Netherlands and into Europe. So now we can deliver not only just psychedelics, which we're allowed to do in the Netherlands, but potentially CBD into other markets across Europe.
There's synergies here. It makes complete sense.
The synergies are endless, and they're it's like a brilliant marriage. It's like a love at first sight, great marriage that we want to obviously grow into a very fruitful, responsible company that we think can increase shareholder value. Again, it's still got to go through a circular and a vote, so we're not there with Cresso and Red Light into the hybrid lab. But in the meantime, it's business as usual. But the part about it, Jack, that's so intriguing to me are these pending acquisitions with Mira over in St. Vincent, which we've discussed and disclosed, and with Hallucinix on the Cresso Pharma side, which they've discussed and disclosed, that they have a pending acquisition for a lab that essentially on the Halifax side in Hallucinix has applied for a controlled dealer's license. And if they get that dealer's license, you have what some of the other companies in this space have that we feel we're undervalued to. And then if we get Mira, it will give us the opportunity to potentially work with all sorts of different compounds and molecules, from ayahuasca, peyote, MDMA, like you name it. We think at least have this opportunity to get into the R&D, research and development, and get into the clinical trial stuff and do it very responsibly. So back to the hybrid approach, Jack. If you think of what hybrid is, it's the merging of two different things. We are merging not only psychedelics and cannabis, but we're also merging recreational and science. And if we can do this and be first and not last, we feel like we can do it better than everybody else, especially with our branding and marketing ability. And people won't forget about us, and we'll sell product and be in revenue generation. So we're very excited. Think about Coca-Cola, or think about Pepsi, for example. Did they just
Because I think it's very similar. Because
Pepsi
I think
didn't start.
Pepsi is also so Pepsi is, I think, the one which they got the soft drinks, but they also own Frito-Lay. They own the potato chips, snacks, orange juice. So it's beverages, snacks, the whole deal. Or like, where, a Canadian version is like Seagram's, right? Seagram's, they start off, I think, with a scotch or something. Next thing you know, they had, is it Canada Dry? Then they had other things. Then they had, how many brands does Seagram's own? Or I don't know if it's the same, whatever it is. But so it's the same thing you're doing in the world of getting a high. So hybrid, I get the high, but also there's the medical aspects. But I think the common theme is the organic, the plant product, whether it's the weed, whether it's the mushroom, but it's the organic product which creates that I think, is that the thing that ties it all together, basically?
These are natural occurring products that people are going to consume and people are going to buy. Are they going to buy them illicitly? Yes, they do that all the time. Are they going to buy them legally, where they're allowed to buy them legally, where there's going to be more standardization, more careful thought put into the packaging, where you're not going to worry about someone's fecal matter being thrown in it? I think that's what people are leaning towards. They want the natural occurring regulated products, and they want to do it with companies that represent a movement. And us coming out on the forefront with psychedelics and psychoactive ingredients saying, hey, we want to hear from you why it is that you're consuming magic truffles in an iMicrodose pack, which you can go and buy. People always forget we're selling right now. We are farming 1 million grams right now. We are selling them in our own products, and we're white labeling them for others. We are become expert farmers already in the truffle industry in the Netherlands. And so again, people want natural occurring products across the world. We want to work with the health regulatory authorities and ensure that our product is the product that they choose one day if legalization happens, like we're seeing with Measure 109 in Oregon, which, by the way, isn't just based on patient access from a medical doctor. It is based on a screening process with education and information. And the idea of that being written over the next couple of years is that any adult can qualify. They don't need a doctor just to tell them that they can use this product that comes from the ground. So we're that company, if you think of our science and innovation, that will go and approach these regulatory authorities and say, hey, we're collecting data. We can understand what is happening with the product when people are using it. And we want to show you hopefully positive results without making the medical claims, but making sure that being responsible, as opposed to the illicit companies that are going to get big cinder blocks put in front of their shops because they're not doing it illegally, or they're going to get their e-commerce sites shut down because they're doing it illegally. So it's a patient, long-term game to work with legal frameworks and, of course, really focus on applied science and R&D on these in all fields. And we quite frankly love it. And we're so excited for this potential merger to happen. We think it was very beneficial for Red Light Holland shareholders. There was an implied premium of about 30%, meaning they valued our company at the closing date where we were $118 million market cap. They valued us at $148 million approximately. They are getting a 39.395 pro forma ratio, where essentially they would own a little bit more of Red Light Holland than we would, but it showed value in what we were doing. They believed in our aggressive approach and our immediate sales, in the way we're getting to market. And I think it's good for Creso because they get us. So if you think of all the shareholders, if this thing happens after the circular, you're getting everything. The Red Light shareholders should be very proud. And it also comes with a lot of cash. We have cash still. They have cash still, currently unaudited. We're probably around the 43, 44, $45 million mark. And we're just excited to go. And we're excited to make this happen and to dominate. That's our goal.
Okay. But I think one of the key takeaways here, which I don't know if people, I think people may have missed this, is that essentially right now, you're going to have around you now, with this merger and with you, with Bruce, with Bruce Linton, with this Will Lay, you're going to have the team around you that essentially has created billions of dollars in shareholder value, kind of using the very same exact approach, following the same kind of game plan, which is this M&A strategy to really build up a massive brand. I mean, they've done it with Canopy Growth. Now you got the dream team is back, the Three Musketeers, and except now you have the psychedelics angle.
It's an additional angle that no one else has really done well, and meaning doing it well by being proud of it, by being behind it, by supporting it with the technology that we supported it with the iMicro app, as I said, with the virtual reality and learning about the product before you buy it, with all this forward-thinking approach that gets us into the future by not only selling product and being in revenue generation, but by collecting data as well. Data will be very important as these industries move forward. And we don't think data has been very well used in the cannabis world either. And by the way, I personally believe that, some people are fearful of cannabis investments because I think people got burned as things really went up and then kind of came back down again. In my opinion, in the cannabis side, and keep in mind, this merger hasn't happened yet. Personally, I've done some small investments in cannabis companies, thinking that I believe there will be a bit of a cannabis resurgence with the progressiveness of the United States now and this government that's in play. And we think that will be expedited. So are there potentials to focus on THC opportunities in the United States after this merger? Well, of course there are. And of course, there's some really good bargains right now of companies who are really significantly in revenues, but maybe went through some cash a little too quickly. So you seize on these opportunities. I'm about trying to stay ahead of the next cycle. I'm trying to stay ahead of the next trend and the next momentum stocks. And I think that if we can stay ahead of them and then be there when they come to rise, next thing you know, there's momentum in psychedelics. Maybe there's momentum back in cannabis. And of course, there's momentum in what we're doing as that dream team you speak of, in a revenue generation focused company in all different hybrid approach of edgy ingredients with focused on results, and then obviously focused on applied science and research and development based on these pending acquisitions. I'm so excited by it. I think we're completely in control by it. And listen, we'll wait and see what happens. But in the meantime, we're very confident in what we're doing.
So I think really, I think that kind of the takeaway is, because I know a lot of investors were kind of confused by the merger, like why they're doing this. But the main idea, which people have to realize, is that this merger is really a stepping stone in which towards, which is something which is going to be much greater, shortly down the road. Very similar to what happened with Canopy Growth, where with the first few deals, when people thought, oh, this is it, and then they went much further beyond that, and sort of, again, like you're building kind of this, PepsiCo or Seagram's or Coke version of the edgy ingredient space, sort of like this universe
Listen,
of
natural
great
example. I mean, Constellation Brands. Constellation Brands went into Canopy Growth, right? So that was a alcohol-focused company that went into cannabis. So why can't a psychedelic-focused company, which was always going to be our core, also have focus in cannabis? And who knows? Maybe one day a big booze company looks at all of us and says, I want to be a part of that too. So there's a lot of opportunity here, but all I know is we are streamlined, focused on results. Focused on results now, on revenue generation. Back to, I want to clarify the Crystal Pharma stuff too, because it is an important thing to clarify. And I brought it up before, but I'll bring it up again. For every 1,000 shares that a Crystal Pharma shareholder has, they will get 395 shares of Red Light Holland. That's what a 0.395 ratio means. So it's not like all the shares get merged together. That's what people I see are saying, and that's not the case. They get, so when the deal started negotiating, I think we were at like a 0.48 ratio, I believe, was being thrown around. But we weren't going to do that, because that would mean for every 1,000 shares, there would be 480 shares of Crystal Pharma. So the merger is actually, in our opinion, completely manageable on not only the capital market side, but purely manageable, and that streamlined focus of revenue generation on the hybrid approach for getting to market in terms of revenue generation, like I said, with products out there, and a little bit of research and development, that we're going to also be very frugal with our spending, not waste millions and millions and millions of dollars on sort of clinicals that go nowhere. And how many of these drug discovery companies right now are actually going to be bought out by a Pfizer or a Johnson & Johnson? I don't know. The question is, there's a lot of them. So we have a different focus. So we have a different focus, and a very important focus. It's on revenue generation now. We're farmers, we're packagers, we're distributors, we're retailers, we're marketers, we're branders. What else could people not want, in my opinion, from a very carefully strategic company to try to increase shareholder value? We're very excited by the future. And Bruce Linton, I mean, this sort of potential as him as the chair of the board. I mean, could you ask for a better general manager? And in my opinion, I think I'm a great captain of the team. I think we got a great co-captain in Will A. I think we have another great co-captain in Sarah Hashkes, and we'll continually add to this amazing team. And I'm sorry if my passion, my excitement comes across a little too strong, but the truth is, I've never been more confident in anything I've done in my life, and I'm really excited by it all.
Okay, so Todd, I want to talk about some the M&A pipeline, because it seems like really you're going to be buying other brands, other distribution channels, again, across psychedelics, cannabis, etc. Whether it's recreational or for medical use, all those edgy ingredients. So I guess let's just refer to them as edgy ingredients until we come up with a better way of describing the whole thing. But so you just recently announced just a small an acquisition. Excuse me. You're buying a mushroom farm. And we have a question here. This is in New Brunswick, I think. You're buying a mushroom farm, and are you going to be converting it? So what's the game plan there?
Okay, so when we buy companies, I want to be very clear about this. We're also buying people. Okay, we're buying people's know-how, we're buying people's expertise, and we're buying people's connections, and we're buying people's years and years and years of service. So the idea with AEM is, we're getting a farm that's a facility that's dormant, but great machinery in there, and a great facility to go and just get operations up and running, very rapidly. But we're doing it with Holborn Farms, and go and look them up, and also go and look up Carlton Mushroom Farms. Go and look up Mike Medeiros. Mike, I believe, also sits on the Mushroom Farmers Board of Canada. He has in the past. I'm not sure if he's still there, actually. I should look that up in his bio. But this is a guy that's politically connected, This is a guy that's been in business since 1984. And this is a guy that is excited by the psychedelic revolution and the idea that maybe one day, if there's legalities to grow psilocybin-based mushrooms, that we could do that at the farm. But why wait until that day? Why not just start growing shiitake mushrooms? Why not look to grow other types of mushrooms that we can sell? They're guaranteeing a business that has sales because they already have all the distribution for mushrooms. They need more mushrooms. So they're already guaranteeing sales in that too once we get it up and running because they're so connected. So this is the thing for us, which is we can also not only just sell mushrooms immediately, not only hope for the future where psilocybin-based mushrooms are grown, but also maybe functional mushrooms. We have a big facility now that we can work on functional mushroom products.
Okay, Todd, but I get the idea that basically the purpose of the acquisition is to have this in place, have this mushroom farm, the growing shiitake now, but it's there sort of as a placeholder, a running facility, so that when psilocybin gets legalized in Canada, you're in business immediately. There's no delay. Like you could be first to market basically because you already have a.
Not only are we in business immediately, but we're in business with individuals who have already dealt with governments in terms of how farming protocols, farming regulations, farming grants, all this type of stuff. I mean, it's beyond just saying, oh yeah, we have a facility that we're going to grow and then we're going to add psilocybin, different strains to it and different substrates and all this stuff. Of course, that's the goal. But the people, I mean, I wish, even the Happy Caps individuals, like we bought this small, grow at home mushrooms. People should go to happycaps.ca right now and become mushroom farmers themselves, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun for you. And it's a product that your kids are going to love, and it's educational. And why I'm getting at that is we bought people as well. Andrew Kobayashi and Andrew Hatfield from Happy Caps are brilliant growers, mycologists, marketers, started a little kind of buddy, project into revenue generation. We're buying great people as well as what we're trying to do in this great business of ours, which is make money before anybody else in this sector. And I think we're proving that out by having products on shelves.
So I think kind of the concept here is, because it's interesting. So in other words, you're basically getting into these areas, sort of to use a Canadian metaphor, because we have a lot of Canadians here. You're in Toronto. Essentially, we're going to use the Wayne Gretzky thing. Why was he so successful? Is because he wasn't chasing after the puck. He was skating to where the puck was heading. So in other words, you're basically positioning yourself to where the puck is heading. So when it gets there, that you'll be in the first position to win, essentially, pretty much across the whole platform.
It's a fantastic analogy, and one I'm quite embarrassed by not thinking of.
Oh, you're embarrassed to be a Canadian. I mean,
it's a great analogy, Jack. And I like it. It was interesting. I was talking to an individual who was hoping for a job in marketing. Really nice lad. He actually called me from India. A really amazing guy. And we're having this great chat. And he said to me this quote, basically that, why Steve Jobs got John Scully to come over from Pepsi to go to Apple? Do you know what he said to him? He said, are you going to sit and make sugar and water products the rest of your life? Or do you want to come with me and change the world? And I don't care what people think about me when I start to say things like that, but we're on a mission. We have a voice. We have a voice in psychedelics to change the world, to end stigmas, to show responsible and educational use, and to allow people access to products that is, in my opinion, their God-given right. And we will work with these ingredients to ensure on our end, we're going to push for that movement too. It's not just a company looking to have revenue generation, and of course, hopefully increase shareholder value day after day, but also get people behind this movement, because we're seeing people get behind the electrical vehicle movement. We're seeing people get behind the sustainability and obviously cleaner earth movement, but also get behind a movement where rightful access to products, natural occurring products that everybody should have. Don't just think of the world that we're in, which is maybe has affordable health care or has access to synthetics and prescriptions from doctors. Much of this world doesn't have that, and that people maybe want to look to natural occurring products like the shamans have done, for example, for thousands of years. So yeah, are we commercializing it? Sure. But are we doing it in a way that's getting behind the movement to, ensure that people have access instead of a doctor needing to tell them that they should? Well, that's not my style. I want to I want to decide what I consume and how I use it and why I use it. And that's what we think people who support the Red Light Holland brand, eventually the Hybrid Lab, think as well.
So I think basically, you mentioned the shaman. So I'm kind of assuming that, down the road as things kind of open up, you're going to expand the portfolio into maybe ayahuasca, all these other things, which we'll call like the edgy, the sort of the edgy ingredients. I mean, again, this is going to be, Red Light is going to be essentially the Coca-Cola, the Procter and Gamble of the edgy ingredients universe. And essentially, what you're doing now is, again, the Wayne Gretzky thing is, I think investors are thinking that in other words, they need to see where the puck is heading. So this is basically the company is basically going where the puck is heading, not chasing after. So the thing to look at is not this merger with Cressa, which is it's very nice, it's great, but really what's beyond it? Because I think the thing that's going to create the real value is the thing that's just beyond it. I mean, that's my takeaways here.
The Cressa Pharma being on the ASX, the Australian Stock Exchange, for their regulations and legalities, much like the Toronto Stock Exchange doesn't allow cannabis companies to do anything in the United States based on federal regulation, they never had that access. The CSE, the Canadian Securities Exchange, allows us together to pursue a THC asset. And so, yeah, we've been very clear that that's part of our strategy. We will look towards companies that are, I think, well-branded and well-positioned in the cannabis market in the States. That's something Cressa couldn't do before. And now together, eventually takes time, like I said, to close these things, takes a few months, circulars, et cetera. That is definitely a strategy of ours. Look beyond what we're just doing today, and then look at what we're doing today and go, my goodness, that is revenue generating focused. And I think that's what people like about us. And we're doing it with an amazing, hardworking team. It's tiring, Jack, but I love it. Okay,
so Todd, let's kind of recap here. So basically, so anybody that wants to know the details, I mean, we got people asking questions of the details. I mean, there's I think a webinar, there's news releases which have all the details. Everything is spelled out. So I'll let them go to that for the boring stuff. But in terms of
it's simple, Jack. Sorry to interrupt. It's simple, dude. It's like it's a very simple thing to understand. Cressa Pharma ends up with approximately 57% of an entire entity, which Red Light Holland would have 43% of. So that equals 100%, which forms the Hybrid Lab. However, it's a reverse acquisition because with me staying on as CEO, with 3 of our board members and 3 of their board members, but Bruce coming on hopefully as the chair, it's sort of like us having control, even though it's a reverse acquisition, meaning, we're going to be making the decisions. That's what we're doing. So for all Red Light Holland shareholders, I'm still making the decisions. Do I have to go to a board? Of course I do. But am I making the right decisions? Do I have a board that I know will support me? Yeah, they've supported me with everything I've done in this creative outside of the box thinking already. That's going to continue. The other thing is for every Cressa shareholder, if they have 1,000 shares, like I said earlier, they will end up with 395 Red Light Holland shares. So for you Red Light Holland shareholders, none of your shares or warrants or anything will change. You just possess what you possess. There will be an X amount that comes over from the Cressa side. It forms a higher share count. Yes, it does. But it also increases the company's valuations together, putting us approximately at about a $350 million valuation when you combine all the shares, which we would still feel we're undervalued to our peers with all the assets, products, team, and everything we're doing in place, including this pending acquisitions of Hallucinix and Mira, which excites us on the R&D side. Nothing's done, nothing's solidified, so don't get ahead of yourselves there. I'm just telling you, we've announced it, that they're out there. And the Hallucinix one, it's a company with Bill Fleming, their CEO, who's applied for a controlled dealer's license. If they're successful in getting that, think about the possibilities we have in R&D that all those other companies in the psychedelic sector that people are investing in, if all this comes to fruition and we get to a point where we hope to get to, we would have what everybody else has, plus the whole rec side. So, I mean, to us, it's just a brilliant plan.
Okay. So I think you kind of touched on, but will the Mira and Hallucinix be acquired? Is that going to be done before the merger, do you think?
These things just take time, man. Like anything. Like when I announced Happy Caps, it took time to get closed. SR Wholesale was a 5-month deal by the time we started talking to the time it closed. So there's just always hiccups. There's legalities, there's legislation, there's governments involved. So, my hope is, we wouldn't have gone and announced these things, at least on our side with Mir, not to try to get this closed as soon as possible. It just takes time. Listen, if I could push things through as fast, I'm not a patient guy. I tell everyone, what's the most important thing I've learned as a CEO of a publicly traded company? It is learning patience. I'm doing my best to learn patience. So I don't have an answer for you, and I can't even guarantee they will close. But our goals obviously are for them both to do that.
Okay, and so it seems to me that you have other acquisitions kind of in the pipeline. Can you give us some hints? What else do you have in the pipeline in terms of other deals that we could see soon announced?
Listen, I think that if you look at psychedelics, look to markets where we're learning that are legal and permissible. Where else can products be? Where Red Light Holland can be? I don't want to stop, Jack. I need our company to be focused and hungry on capitalizing whatever market we can to get product into those markets, maybe become farmers. So yeah, I think that you can think of markets that are legal for psychedelics. And then I think it's safe to say that we'll totally look towards what's going on in the United States and with the movement that's happening there, not only just in cannabis, which, will federal legalization happen? A lot of people are betting on that it will at some point, but also what's happening in Oregon with Measure 109, what's happening in California with Senate Bill 519 for psychedelics, what we think is starting to see differences and happening in Denver, Colorado. I mean, there's just a lot of markets opening up. And of course, it's our company strategy to be the first in there.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of deals in the pipeline building. I'm trying to read between the lines. It sounds like you have other things in the pipeline that,
It sounds like I'm extra serious today. And I one of the things, and people can say, wow, Todd's got this youthful energy, or he's like a man child, he still wears a cap and stuff. I just most importantly want to create this brand, get to where we're getting to, like you're saying, which is, anything can look the way people want it to look. All I know is look at the announcements we've done, look at what we've delivered on, look at the wisdom truffle. I posted yesterday, even the update on where that is with the tech and the development of it. And it's in someone's hand with that heart rate monitor showing your light to your heart, and the wisdom truffle flashes to it. We don't talk about things, we get things done. We're focused on being places and creating the biggest company in the psychedelic sector, which also has different assets behind it supporting the revenues. So, what I'm trying to say is, I sound so serious. I just want to have fun with all this too, because ultimately this is fun, man. This is fun because we're representing a movement, representing people who get this stuff. They get it. They just get it.
Okay, Todd. So let's kind of recap. So you got an M&A pipeline, which we're not going to go. You're not going to give us details on right now. What are the news flow can we expect in the next couple of weeks? Let's say 30 days. Anything? Because this summer people need hope. The summer is very slow for stocks, for the micro cap world. What's going to keep their attention till September? Next 60 days, basically.
Listen, I obviously, for selective disclosure reasons, Jack, I have to be super careful on what I say in terms of what could you expect. But what I can tell you can expect is from day one, okay, May 28th, 2020 was the first day we started trading as Red Light Holland. And people questioned it. Oh, rec market, old radio guys to see all this stuff. I could care less about all that stuff. Look at how we consistently come to the market with news and innovation. And if you don't think that my creativity and our team's innovation combined will keep this momentum going, well then, that's a silly thought, because look at the momentum we've had almost every month after month. We don't just stop and sit back and wait. Again, as Bruce says, if you're not first, you're last.
Okay. All right, Todd, on that note, I want to thank you. And I want to thank everybody for joining our live stream today. And we will see you in the next one. I think, I'm sure there's going to be something exciting very soon.
Cheers.
All right, with orange.
It's hot out here. Sorry about the bad internet today. I hope this worked out okay for you, Jack. Thanks for having me.
A little shaky, but it added to the dynamism.
Okay. Yeah, I'm holding it out. I don't have my, okay.